Hello guys, and some good news from the collapsing Russian Federation. More and more regions go out on protests against the Kremlin. I know it sounds unbelievable, but let's begin with a very important question. How do you think what can make these apolitical, frightened Russians go out on protest? And you are right, money. Since the end of 2025, more and more Russian regions are not able to pay salaries to hospitals, to schools, and this has very negative consequences not only on the life of these regions but also on the way they feel about Moscow and Putin in particular. In Tuva, in Komi, in Khakasia, in Arkhangelsk, there are hundreds of thousands of people who have no money to buy food, and trust me, they don't feel very enthusiastic about Putin's plan to continue war and to spend 40% of the already empty federal budget on the destruction of Ukrainian hospitals and schools. Because the Russian hospitals and schools already feel destroyed. Let's discuss how slowly more and more regions turn against Moscow, and this promises a lot of interesting things in 2026 on our way to implement the only working peace plan, and that is to defeat and demilitarize Russia. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see Putin in The Hague, subscribe and share these videos to spread the truth. So let's begin with the most recent update from Tuva. That is one of many regions in Russia that actually have a great potential to become independent. I will not be surprised if you haven't heard about it before, but bus drivers in Tuva went on protest and they stopped working. With hundreds of thousands of people influenced in Russia, not many can afford a car, and many actually depend on the public transport. And with lots of these bus drivers on strike, people, believe me, felt that something bad is evolving in that region. And the main reason for the protests, as you might have guessed, they stopped getting money, they stopped getting their legitimate earned salaries. The companies had to pay them 11 million rubles, but even after days of protest, after people stopped driving, stopped helping thousands in the region, they did not manage to get what they want. Their local authorities promised something like 2.5 million, but the rest is still the debt of the region and the Kremlin to these drivers. And I'm sure you can guess how they feel about everything right now. Plus, we have to remember that this summer a nationwide protest took place. A nationwide protest of taxi drivers. This perhaps was the first ever nationwide protest organized via Telegram. And now you are sure the main reason why Putin blocked Telegram, even causing a lot of trouble to his soldiers on the front lines, was his desire to prevent any kind of protest, regional or nationwide. They are trying to disconnect people, to prevent any kind of communication or civil organization among them. It will fail, just as everything that Putin plans. So that nationwide protest of taxi drivers were caused by a number of reasons, and this is good when it's not just one. First of all, a huge gasoline crisis that Russia still experiences after Ukrainian drone attacks, after problems with exports, after a lot of logistical problems all over Russia. The prices became very high, and the buying capacity of people, Russian ordinary people, fell drastically. They discuss how difficult it is to buy cucumbers in Russia. I don't know why, but right now they constantly talk about cucumbers in all of their videos, that they are too expensive for an ordinary Russian to afford. And they stopped being able to order taxis, and so these taxi drivers that are entrepreneurs and they have to pay money and they have to feed their families, they were devastated. Then the second, another interesting location that often causes trouble to the Kremlin, but actually it's the Kremlin that causes trouble to Komi, the Republic of Komi. And their speaker of their regional parliament, regional council, was talking about a serious problem with salaries, because a lot of its income the region gives to Moscow. It has always been like that, but now Moscow is consuming more and more. They do not care for how people live in some distant regions of the Russian Federation. And in December 2025, they simply had no money to pay those state workers. And this is what in Russia and some ex-Soviet republics they describe is the administrative resource. This is something ugly, something that we managed to eliminate in Ukraine, but these are people who work on state jobs or jobs that get finance from directly from the government, like hospitals and schools, for example. It's not only councils or some political positions, but it may be councils, utility workers, and so on. And these people are very dependent on the mood of the administration, and at the same time, they use them when various voting systems need to be influenced, or they want to demonstrate the support of some ill decisions of the government. And for example, free people go on protests, and then they push this administrative resource to go out on streets. And right now that administrative resource is very disappointed with the Kremlin's decision. So they were not able to pay salaries for doctors, for teachers, for kindergarten workers, and many more in Komi. And it happened for the first time in December 2025, when people are preparing to celebrate the New Year and Christmas, and they need money more than even in November or March, even though these are the money that you've earned. Imagine something similar happening in your countries. I'm sure that protest would be all over the news. In Russia, they silence it. And here we come again to one and only reason why they shut down internet and telegram in Russia. So the local authorities wanted to calm down people by saying, we will give you this money in January or February. But first of all, it was this festive season. Russians need to buy some vodka. And also, the financial year ends, and it's very difficult to get something from the previous financial year in the new one. And what I love is that this problem was actually wildly discussed in Komi, with their speakers and local authorities criticizing the Kremlin for this inability to pay money. Khakasia is another region that suffers from that. It's in Siberia. It is a region rich in natural resources, but right now they have 5 billion rubles hole in their regional budget. And we remember that Russian federal budget lacks 8 trillion. So there is literally no way they can back up each other. And the reason that that Khakasia, once very rich, became so poor is the collapse of the coal industry. Russia burns all of their money on the missiles to target Ukrainian infrastructure, while their own infrastructure dies, and actually their income fell 7 times because of problems with coal production, because of problems with logistics, transportation. And here I need to remind you that even Russian railroads, once very successful company, is on the brink of collapse, together with Lukoil, Gazprom, Rosneft. This tells us everything about the state of Russia, its economy, its industry, its social moods. People go out on protests in Russia. Seemed unbelievable, right? They still do not care about Russian war crimes in Ukraine or elsewhere, but they do care about empty pockets. And I'm sure that most of their deposits and money in the Russian banking system are already destroyed by Putin's strategy. Also, it's not just about salaries. It's about utilities, it's about various social support. It's literally absent in Russia. And what we do not talk enough is the fact that 2025 so far was the year when literally every Russian federal subject, and there are 83 at least once, went out on protest. This is unbelievable for Russia. And the reason? Number one, problems with economy, be it increased taxes, inflation, problems with regional budgets destroyed by the federal budget, or dying out industries like construction, like metallurgy, like oil and gas. So now is the time to remain united and be prepared for the collapse of the Russian Federation the way we know it. And please don't be afraid of that. It's a natural process for such unnatural Frankensteins, imperial Frankensteins in the 21st century. Subscribe to be well informed and well prepared. Also follow me on Anna Danilchuk channel, where we have just spoken about protests all over the Russian Federation. And if you want to know which regions are the most rebellious, do watch this video. Follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord, and of course our new Substack weekly newsletter is available for those who follow me there. Check the merch shop for lots of good items that turn you into ambassadors of Ukraine, and I'm forever grateful for any conversations that you hold to support Ukraine and to remind that the only working peace plan is to defeat and demilitarize Russia. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for being friends of mine and friends of Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!